I would like for you to ask yourself, why do all the major news agencies cover up, blatantly lie for, even has gone as far as to incite a race war? That's right, a race war, and blame Donald Trump, all in order to get Hillary Clinton back into the White House. I would like for you to open your mind, ears, and eyes so you can make a truly informed decision on truths, not filtered government brainwashing. Now, here we have a few instances where people are shedding light on corruption within the Hillary campaign. One man, an African-American Trump supporter, calls for unity amid a news-fueled race war attempt, only to cut him off with a news-owned African-American puppet to tell us most blacks shouldn't feel that way and don't. Which brings us to our next, where they don't want you to know Hillary Clinton actually supported legislation in the 1990s that led to the mass incarceration of African American men.
But largely Hillary Clinton's comments here today, John, were based around the recent violence that we have seen, the police-involved shootings of black men in Minnesota, in Louisiana, and then the killing of white police officers by a black gunman in Dallas. That was really what she based her comments on around today. And remember, Hillary Clinton has some vulnerabilities herself, even as she calls for criminal justice reform because of her support in the 1990s for anti-crime legislation that ultimately helped contribute to this era of mass incarceration that she now speaks out again.
We just lost Breonna Keeler.
With some Trump supporters, let's play what they said.
David Duke and people like that, they come out from under the rocks all the time around this time this year. It got nothing to do with Donald Trump. We all Americans. I think we need to stop with all the racist stuff and the race baiting. Like me and my friend right here, we just met today, we was talking. You know, we got to stop with the racist stuff and this, that. We all Americans, man. And nobody paying David Duke no mind.
Clearly, let me just be clear here. Obviously, the majority of Donald Trump supporters are not African American. I don't know how many African Americans were in that building, but that is one person that we have chosen to cut that sound from.
The servers are no longer hooked up and working. I mean, if they are, they're with the FBI. And people know that they're not available to hack anymore. I mean, it's like Donald Trump saying, oh, you know, I hope Putin gets in a 1985 DeLorean and goes and finds those 33,000 emails. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous.
Not like that at all.
I'll tell you what scares me. What scares me is the fact that the emails are out there somewhere probably, and that we could have a president that could be blackmailed over them. That's what concerns me. It's about our national security.
Hold on. You can't just invent things. You can't just invent things.
I'm not inventing anything.
You just invented an entire thing. The FBI has already come out with a report on Hillary Clinton's emails. What you just said was an invented thing. There's no 33,000 emails.
There are other work-related emails that they did not produce to state and that we did not find elsewhere and that are now gone because they deleted all emails they did not produce to state.
I love it. I love it. Those messages disappear all by themselves.
And the lawyers then clean their devices in such a way as to preclude complete forensic recovery.
That are going to harm our national security.
Hostile actors gained access to the private commercial email accounts of people with whom Secretary Clinton was in regular contact from her personal account. She also used her personal email extensively while outside the United States, including sending and receiving work-related emails in the territory of sophisticated adversaries. Given that combination of factors, we assess it is possible that hostile actors gained access to Secretary Clinton's personal email account.
You know that there was an entire year and a half. We're not going to relitigate that. No, Amy, we're not going to relitigate that. But you can't make things up. Not if you're going to invent things. Okay, you can say your comments.
I'm not going to invent things, but the FBI also said.
No, ma'am. You cannot invent things.
The FBI also said that she has not turned over. She didn't turn over all the emails.
No, ma'am. You cannot invent things. You cannot say things. You're putting out incredibly inflammatory information.
I made a mistake, and so we have
on the campaign trail is obviously going to be covered. So my question to you, without mentioning the Clintons, and Bill Clinton, which has been which has been gone through. Wait, let me finish my statement. Which has already been litigated and relitigated on the own merits Donald Trump's statements on the campaign trail, you don't think it's fair that the media should be covering it?
Oh, I don't think it's unfair. I just think it's silly. Look, he's running against Hillary Clinton.
Absolutely.
He's running against the sexual harasser and abuser's enabler. So again, I don't know why we're not talking about that. You know, it has been litigated.
We're not talking about that because it has nothing to do. It has nothing to do with what happened. She's not her husband. Her husband was hang on. Her husband has been impeached over that.
Donald
That
Trump's
was
not known to
over
be politically
a decade
correct or a
ago,
politician
and
either.
you're still. Hold on, guys. Both of you are talking over me. Let me finish, and then first Kurt, and then I will let you respond. You're talking about something that happened over a decade ago. The man has been impeached for it. She is not responsible for her husband's actions, yet you are bringing it into a campaign, and it doesn't seem fair. What if you did the same thing with Donald Trump from something his spouse?
I think the issue here is, again, it's not Melania taking nude pictures. Again, a woman can do with her body what she wants. She wants to take nude pictures. That's her business. But Republicans are usually the party of family value. And one can imagine if there was a Democratic woman or someone, think if that was if that was the current First Lady on the cover, don't you think all hell would break loose?
Or his father, if someone else did in his family. It has nothing to do with him running for president. We're talking about his own actions, his own individual merit. So, if you're going to talk about Hillary Clinton, then bring Hillary Clinton's actions into it. Don't bring her husband's actions into it.
Bring Hillary Clinton's actions into it.
As would I. And to Don Lemon, I concur. So let's talk Hillary Clinton specifically. But to talk Hillary Clinton, we need to address two things. First is how she views the law. Not when she's in public catering to some speech that was written to deceive the public, but when she's unfiltered, telling the truth of how she helped a pedophile child rapist get away free and ruined a 12-year-old's life.
I had some really tough crimes. I had one appear that the prosecutor called me years ago, said that he had a guy who was accused of rape. And the guy wanted a woman lawyer. And I do it as a favor to him.
That's really awesome.
Terrible case. Remember that case where I represented that guy? It was a fascinating case. It was really an interesting case. This guy was accused of raping a 12-year-old who was the daughter of the family he was living in Springfield. They lived on the side of the tracks in Springfield. And the guy was from Green Forest. His family still had a little farm. But he was one of these rootless folks who wasn't going to make a living on the land, and he was kind of around. Ended up in Springfield looking another place over there. Of course, he claimed that he didn't. All this stuff. He took a lie detector test. I had to take a polygraph, which he passed, which forever destroyed my faith in polygraphs.
Hillary Clinton blamed the victim. Number 101 when you're dealing with rape cases, don't blame the victim. She blamed a 12-year-old girl, a 6th grade 12-year-old girl, of seeking the attention of older men and fantasizing about being with older men. There is audio.
Wait, we haven't corroborated any of this, so I mean, I just think you should be very.
It's widely reported. It's widely reported.
Widely reported. So is the National Enquirer. Widely reported.
We
widely
can
reported
go.
doesn't mean anything. It's not on this network, I would point out.
Hillary Clinton had accused her of some sort of culpability in her own attack.
Widely reported.
Widely
reported
can
doesn't
go.
mean anything. It's not on this network, I would point out. Wait, we haven't corroborated any of this.
Clinton wrote of the victim, "I have been informed that the complainant is emotionally unstable with a tendency to seek out older men and engage in fantasizing."
Wait, we haven't corroborated any of this. It's not on this network, I would point out.
Mrs. Clinton seems to admit she knew the defendant was guilty.
Wait, we haven't corroborated any of this. It's not on this network, I would point out.
And I do think the audio really changes it, where she's saying he took a polygraph, and then she says that it forever, destroyed her faith in polygraph.
Yeah.
She thought
she's admitting that he's guilty.
Right.
Yes.
I think it's a problem. I think it really pokes a hole in that narrative.
It's not on this network, I would point out.
I made a mistake, and so we have.
This was a very interesting case. Somehow the blood evidence on his pants went missing after it was sent to get examined. An interesting contrast of today, where we have forensic scientists pleading guilty for falsifying evidence. Or is it? It just boggles the mind on how Hillary Clinton seems to have a cloud of corruption following her wherever she goes. And to those who couldn't understand how a man can rape a child, stream it, and get probation, or in Robert H. Richards IV's case, can rape his 3-year-old daughter and get probation and treatment because he won't fare well in prison, because these so-called scourges of humanity will deal him the injustice he deserves. I'm also addressing those that are thinking it's because they are white. You're wrong. It's because of people that vote for lawmakers like Hillary Clinton, are presented said facts, refuse to take them into consideration, and say things like, I'm a Democrat, I'm voting Democrat, I don't need any other reason. And second is CNN. CNN money's fact checkers, Christina Alessi and Lori Franco, rated as false a well-established and proven Clinton cash fact involving Hillary Clinton's State Department approving the transfer of 20% of the United States uranium to the Russian government. The Russians gradually assumed control of Uranium 1 in 3 separate transactions from 2009 to 2013. Canadian records show a flow of cash made its way into the Clinton Foundation from 9 investors involved in the deal. CNN's correspondents Alessi and Franco rate the claim as false and allege there is no hard evidence of a quid pro quo. Quid pro quo means the exchange of goods or services, where one transfer is contingent upon the other. English speakers often use the term to mean a favor for a favor, tit for tat. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. Here's an example of what they're suggesting.
I don't understand why I gotta pay so much more money for that microphone right there, when the one right next to it look just like it, but costs half, man. Let's do it this way, man. If I buy 2 of them, say you give them to me both for $9.
This is studio quality. It costs $250. Now, why would I sell you 2 of them for $90 a piece?
Just because that statement, man, the customer's always right, ain't you heard?
Not in this case, sir. No. If you want quality, you have to pay for it.
Look, man, can't you cut me some type of break on this stuff here? What was that?
What?
I mean, what you looking at, man?
Nothing.
I mean, don't worry, Sparky, man. I ain't gonna pop or nothing like that. Look here, man. Thing is, that gal over there, right? I got it in real good with her. I mean, she my gal and all, but she don't necessarily belong to me. See, a girl like that, man, she the type of girl that won't shut them doors, lock them, see what type of specials you got going on in the back. And me, I'm the kind of man that'll just walk out of here and leave a girl like that behind, because, like I say, she with me and all, but she don't belong to me. Not necessarily. And maybe when she leaves, she can take something that don't necessarily belong to her neither. It's like you say, man, you want quality, you got to pay for that.
As you can see, technically there is no quid pro quo here. But let's be honest, we all know what happened. Why the CNN correspondents Alessi and Franco couldn't confirm the $145 million in Clinton Foundation donations for themselves is very, very curious indeed. In a 4,000-word front page story written over a year ago, the New York Times Pulitzer Prize-winning investigative journalists Joe Becker and Michael McIntyre verified the Clinton cash uranium revelations in stunning detail, including charts and graphs laying out the flow of millions of dollars from the 9 investors in the uranium deal who flowed $145 million to Hillary's family foundation. Hillary Clinton repeatedly promised to remain transparent, but those promises, like others, ended up not being kept, as in some cases foreign laws hampered the foundation's ability to release names of donors. Here are the names and amounts of the investors involved in the deal. Frank Gustra, Canadian mining magnate who created a company that later merged with Uranium 1. He gave $31.3 million and a pledge for $100 million to the Clinton Foundation. Frank Holmes, a shareholder in the deal who donated between $250,000 and $500,000, The Clinton Foundation doesn't report exact amounts, only in ranges, and is a Clinton Foundation advisor. Neil Woodyer, Frank Gustra's colleague, who founded Endeavor Financial and pledged $500,000 as well as promises of ongoing financial support. Robert Disbrow, a Hollywood securities broker. You know that firm that provided $58 million in capital to float shares of Eurasia's private placement, gave the Clinton Foundation between $1 and $5 million according to Clinton Cash. Paul Reynolds, a Canaccord Capital Incorporated executive who donated between $1 and $5 million. The Eurasia deal was the largest in Canaccord's history. Robert Cross, a major shareholder who serves as Eurasia's energy director, who pledged portions of his future income to the Clinton Foundation. Gizio Bianchini, the capital markets vice chair and global co-head of BMO's Global Metals and Mining Group, had also been an underwriter on the mining deals. BMO paid $600,000 for 2 tables at the CGS-GI's March 2008 benefit. Sergei Kruzin, the Russian rainmaker involved in the Kazakhstan uranium deal and shareholder in Eurasia Energy, also pledged $1 million to the foundation. And finally, Uranium One chairman Ian Telfer committed $2.35 million. In hidden, undisclosed donations, he is also the former head of the Russian government's uranium company. Correspondents Alesky and Franco claim there's no hard evidence of a quid pro quo. Naturally, they fail to know that the legal standard for conflicts of interest and corruption do not require a quid pro quo, nor do they know that Hillary Clinton deleted and destroyed over 30,000 emails housed on her secret server, the obvious location of any so-called smoking guns. However, the CNN Money fact checkers correctly note that the State Department is one of several agencies that needed to sign off on the transaction. Indeed, the Committee on the Foreign Investments in the United States has 9 members, one of which the State Department. Yet through willful ignorance or an unusual lack of journalistic curiosity, Alessi and Frankel didn't think to ask the obvious: which of the 8 other agency heads needed to approve the deal were receiving $145 million to their family's charity at the time of such a pivotal decision? And did Hillary Clinton's State Department report the obvious conflict of interest before granting this approval of handing over 20% of America's uranium to Putin's Russia? Why didn't Hillary Clinton recuse her agency from voting, knowing that her charity was receiving $145 million from 9 investors in the deal? And it just seems to be a trend of the exact same style of corruption, which brings me back to Janet Yellen and Lyle Brainerd with Hillary Clinton. It's just one of the events gave Russia 20% of United States uranium, and the current event is further devaluating the dollar and dragging us further in debt. Yet CNN continues to lie for Hillary Clinton. You should ask yourself why this is.
Donald Trump says the Federal Reserve is political. His argument, the Fed is keeping interest rates low to help the economy look good under President Obama and Hillary Clinton by extension. Now, the problem with Trump's assertion, it was specifically designed back in 1913 to be independent from the 3 branches of government. Neither Congress nor the president can tell the Fed to raise, lower, or hold interest rates steady. Only the 12 people on the Fed's Monetary Policy Committee make that decision. 7 of those members, the Fed's governors, are appointed to 14-year terms to insulate them from the whims of elected officials. The other 5 rotate. The Fed has 2 missions: job creation and low inflation. In other words, to make the economy look good, no matter who is president. Interest rates have been low for several years. The Fed has kept rates down to stimulate the economy to help it recover. It did raise rates once last year, and it could do it again this year. But it's not about the political calendar. It's about whether the economy can handle the rate hike. Janet Yellen and the rest of the Fed are loyal to, well, numbers and economic statistics. That's what Fed governors talk about in their meetings, not politics.
To your knowledge, has Governor Brainerd been in contact with the Clinton administration, or Clinton campaign, regarding a potential job in a potential future administration? Are you aware of that at all?
I have absolutely no awareness of that.
There have been published media reports talking about that, so you're not familiar with those media reports?
What's important to me is whether or not in our decision-making, our collective decision-making, I see politics being brought to bear in reasoning about our decisions, and I have never seen that on the part of any of my colleagues.
If you learn that she has had communications with Clinton as far as trying to get a job, would that change your opinion as to whether she should be asked to recuse herself?
I don't think that there is a conflict of interest there.
So a federal governor can be in direct negotiations with a political campaign looking for a future job, and that is not a conflict as far as you're concerned.
We do have.
No, is that a conflict or not? If they are having direct negotiations with either political party to ask for a job next year while they're a sitting governor, do you see that as a conflict?
Will the gentleman yield?
I would like to have an answer. Is that a conflict?
And
if it is a conflict, will you be asking the governors whether they are engaged in such activity?
Will the gentleman yield?
The gentleman apparently is not yielding. The time of the gentleman has expired. Can the witness give a brief answer?
I would have to consult my counsel. I'm not aware that that's a conflict.
I made a mistake, and so
Facts.